Hello, welcome back. Today I'm gonna be filming something maybe a little different. I was scrolling through TikTok the other day and one of my favorite TikTok creators, Xenia Adults, I don't know, she's German, but she's so cool. Like, if there's any way that I could dress or any like fashion sense, I'll put her little thing up, but she's just so cool and she's like so successful and so just like, I don't know, she's cool. Anyways, so I was scrolling through TikTok and Belle's tiptoeing around out there. Come here, Belly! Come here, honey! Hello! So I was scrolling through TikTok and she did a little like get to know me video and I was like, you know what? I should probably do that. Obviously, you know me. You know I'm married to Nikki, but I feel like you don't know me. So why not make a little get to know me video, you know? Basically, that's all it's gonna be. I made a little like some notes and of like things I've been thinking of over the last week. And I'm like, you know what? This is me. And these just explain me, you know? First things first. I was named after the song Brandy, and it's like, Brandy, you're a fine girl, what a good wife you would be, such a fine girl. That song, that's what I was named after. Good song. Look at me, by the way, with my little cup of tea. I bought these little mugs at IKEA, like when I first moved here. I actually hate them. They're like the most unergonomical mugs ever. I like one finger just is not enough support. So I was named after the song Brandy, and my parents were cleaning their boat when my parents were still together. We'll get into that. They were cleaning their boat and my mom was pregnant with me. She didn't have a name picked out for me yet, but she knew I was a girl, and that song came on the radio and they're like, that's it. Her name's gonna be Brandy. And that song is about a sailor out at sea and he falls in love with like a bartender and wants to bring her back home, but also was like, no, the sea life is just for me, like I can't. But he ends up falling in love with her. I was a bartender, Nikki was on a cruise, and we met. How freaking weird. Anywho, so that's what I was named after. My full name is not Brandy Lynn. Lynn is just my middle name, and my whole family will call me Brandy Lynn, Brandolyn, whatever. So I was like, you know what, may as well just make it like my brand, Brandy Lynn. I like it. I think it's kind of cute. Like, I do like my name. It's really funky. It's unique. Also, I did that eyelash hack again where you do the little like cut the strip lash up and put it up underneath. I am never wearing my lashes any other way. Like, I think it's such a game changer. And it literally took me 5 minutes this time. So, practice makes perfect. We're getting somewhere. I am 26 years old. I am actually like 6 months older than Nikki. There's lots of banging going on out in the hallway and Belly's not happy about it. Ignore how pale I look. I have literally zero tan on. All I have on is this. All I have on is that. I love it. I always get the medium to dark and I feel like it gives me like some kind of color. It's alright for being a little pasty. I am obsessed with dogs. Like, if I'm like driving and I see a dog, like here it's very normal for people to like walk their dogs like not on a leash, like on busy roads, like on sidewalks, and I'm like, oh my god, where's the owner? Like probably 5 times a day. I will wreck my car trying to save a dog. Like, dogs have my heart, and not just dogs, like all animals, but just especially dogs. Yeah, I started my YouTube channel basically as like a bored housewife, but I've always just watched YouTubers. So like Katie and Desi were like my elite YouTube girlies, but Katie was like my fave, but she doesn't do YouTube anymore, which breaks my heart because I love her so much. And Jamie Genevieve. So before I even moved here, I'm sure I've talked about this before I even moved here, I used to watch Jamie Genevieve, and then when I found out Nikki was from Scotland, I was like, oh, hello, I'm gonna meet her one day. Yeah, I was like, after watching all those YouTube girls, I've always been like, I would really like to start a YouTube channel, but I worked a lot, like I had a pretty busy life, but when COVID hit, I had nothing else to do, so I was like, screw it, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel. So I did, and now we have Brandy Lynn. I am super close with my family. Like, this was actually gonna be kind of like I was just gonna like do my makeup and talk and kind of go through this and like tell you all about me while I was doing my makeup to kind of keep my hands busy and make it a little more interesting. But I ended up being on the phone with my mom and sister on FaceTime, like the group FaceTime, for like an hour and a half, and I was like, screw this, I really need to just get ready and then I can just start filming. So here we are. I literally don't go more than like 2 days without speaking to one of them, my mom or one of my sisters. So yeah, I love my family, and like my favorite thing to do is like spend like really wholesome like family time. Like that's one of my favorite things to do. I just think there's nothing better. I have 6 siblings. I make 7. I have 2 step siblings, 1 half, and 3 blood. Me, my brother Sean, my sister Kaylee, my brother Matt, and we're all blood. And then we have my 2 step, which are my stepdad's kids from his other marriage, Ricky and Allison. And then when my mom and Rick got together, they had Abby. So she's my half because we don't have the same dad. My parents got divorced when I was 6 or 7. I think it affected me more as an adult than it did as a child. I think mentally, and like bringing into my marriage, I know now what like I stand for and like what I would want in a relationship and what I don't want. But I think naturally knowing what I don't want shows me what I do want, if that makes sense. But I am still very close with both my parents, and my parents both get along as well, so that makes life really easy. And my stepdad and my real dad both get along, and like my dad is always hanging out over at my mom and stepdad's house, like, so it's actually really pretty normal. No complaints on that end. It wasn't always like that. It took a few years for things to kind of like start gelling together. I never say like, oh, my stepbrother and sister. I would just say I have 6 siblings, there's 7 of us, whatever. But for the sake of this video, I'm saying it. I was 8 when my mom and stepdad met, so they all came into my life when I was really young, so I don't really think of them as like step. For whereas for my other siblings, my older siblings, because I was the youngest, I feel like it affected them a bit more. But I think it was like a blessing that I was so young. My dad wasn't at the wedding because he had like prior like work engagements or whatever, so he couldn't make it to the wedding. But my stepdad walked me down the aisle, which was amazing. Oh, the picture's actually there. Let me grab it. This is us like just about to walk down the aisle. We had just gotten through the doors there. I love that picture. That's like one of my favorite pictures from the wedding. I just love it so much. I feel like it just captured my emotions. I was like totally fine the whole morning getting ready for the wedding, and then all of a sudden like I could hear like the song that we were playing to walk down the aisle as I was walking up the doors. It was like a pretty far walk. You had to walk all the way up this hill upstairs and all the way around to get to the front door of where we were getting married, like to the ceremony. And I could hear the song playing and it just hit me, and I was like, wow. Like literally the whole way down the aisle, I think you have like this whole idea planned of what you're gonna look like and what you're gonna do and whatever. No. I didn't know that Nicky was gonna have his back to me. He didn't turn around and face me till I got to the very end of the aisle, and then he turned around and faced me once I got to the top. I think I like touched him on the shoulder, but I didn't expect that. So the whole time I was like, why is he not looking at me? Why is he not looking? Because I always thought that he would have looked at me like the whole way I was walking to him, but instead I was staring at the back of his head. Literally the whole way down the aisle I was like hyperventilating. So shortly after my parents got divorced, my oldest brother passed away, so that was kind of like a whole traumatic time. I think like I said, like I think it has affected me more in my adult life than it did as a childhood. Like it was a lot as a child, and we did the whole therapy thing and all of that, but it was just a lot. Like it was like very like bam 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 bam. But growing up, I had a really good childhood with my mom and dad. We spent like my whole childhood camping and like traveling all around the United States. Like I don't know how many states we actually been to, but I know we've been like across all the southern states and all up the East Coast. So that was like really cool. Like we traveled a lot. We drove all the way to like the Grand Canyon. We drove all the way up to like New York. Like we are always doing big long road trips. Like that whole part of my childhood was like amazing, and I really learned so much. And my mom's quite independent, like from doing all that. Like she's really handy, and I feel like, and my dad's really handy, and my mom was a nurse growing up and my dad was a plumber, so I feel like it was like the best duo to have. Like if anyone, like any of the kids hurt themselves, covered. If anything breaks, dad got it covered. Like it was actually like the perfect duo. There's nothing I would love more than like when I eventually, maybe if I have children, then I would love nothing more than to take them camping and have them grow up with like that same life, because I feel like you learn so many like life values camping, if that makes sense. Like it's just so cool. It's like really cool little community to like grow up in. Like I remember like we'd go camping, not even just camping but just in life in general. I was literally that kid that would choreograph a whole routine, a whole fucking song and dance, and then would make all my family like line up and watch me perform. Did anyone else do that? Oh, speaking of like choreographing all that, I did hip hop dancing for like 2 years or something. It's pretty cool. Interesting. And then I also played piano. I'm not sure for how many years. I want to say like it was a while, like maybe 3 or 4 years or something. We all took piano lessons. We all did like recitals and stuff. That was really cool. One of my biggest regrets is not sticking with playing piano, because how cool would that be, especially now. Like one, it's cool just to have a talent like that, like a party trick. Like watch this, pull out a keyboard and you can like bust out Fur Elise or something. Now imagine I could like play piano while Nikki sings. That's so cool. I can play My Heart Will Go On. Dun, 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 dun. I can play that. That's it. That's all I've got though. So that was one of my biggest regrets. I wish I really stuck with that. Not much happened. Like obviously like life happened between like ages like 9 and 18, but nothing significant, I'd say. I went to school. I graduated high school. I was the first one of my blood siblings to graduate high school, because I think just the trauma of like my brother passing and my parents divorcing and all of that, I feel really like put a halt to like my brother and sister and just affected them. So I mean, they're on now to do really great things. My brother has a great job. My sister's in school for nursing. So you come out in the end. But I was the first one to graduate high school. Just saying. Graduated by the skin of my teeth, but I did it. After high school, I went to cosmetology school. I also was a motocross trophy girl. Should I insert some pictures? I did that for actually 6 years or something. I did that for a long time. I think I actually did it while I was in high school too. So I did it for quite a while actually. I really enjoyed it. I always did the motocross stuff. That was really cool. I really loved that. Like that was also a really cool community to be around and grow up in. Like, because I essentially did kind of grow up through that age. Like it was just really cool, a really cool community. There's still people like I still talk to that came out of that. So I'm thankful for that. Right after I graduated high school, my stepbrother Ricky, he is from Massachusetts, and he's like, okay, come up and come live with me in Massachusetts, and you can like start scouting schools and see if you want to go to any colleges up here, and you can stay up here. Because I was just kind of like, I was getting out of like my first like real relationship, and I like wanted to go find life elsewhere. So I did that, and I think I went there on a one-way ticket. And my total, like I was gonna go get a job there, everything. Like I was ready, I was gonna do it. That was my whole dream. Like I was gonna go start life over in a different state. I think I lasted like 3 or 4 weeks. I stayed with my grandparents for half the time because they also lived in Massachusetts, and that was cool. Like that was really cool, especially now that my grandpa who I stayed with, he has passed away. So it's really good that I had those memories with him. If I didn't get anything else out of that trip, it was that. More time with my grandpa before he passed away. So that was cool. So I did that. I think I lasted like 4 weeks before I was like, hi mom, can you book me a flight home? Thank you very much, love you, bye. I had enough. I was like, maybe living here is not for me. Oh, I said I went to cosmetology school after high school. I didn't make it very far. But I made it far. No, actually, you know what? No, I'm not going to take that away from me, because I did make it kind of far. I qualified in all of the hair portion. I can cut, color, I can even perm, you know? You ever need if you want curly hair, maybe I'm your girl. And I made it through most of the nail portion. Where I gave up was in the pedicures. I was sick of touching people's feet. Yeah,
Beauty school dropout. Go back to high school.
That's me. While I was in cosmetology school, I was also doing the trophy girl stuff, and I worked in a Mexican restaurant. So I would go to cosmetology school from 7 a.m. till 3:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. Then I would go work in the Mexican restaurant like 4 days a week. And I didn't like working on the weekends, so I always worked at night through the week. I would leave cosmetology school, go to my Aunt Tina's, who lived super close to it, change into like my Mexican restaurant outfit uniform, and then like fly to work. And I was always late, but they always excused me. They were actually pretty cool, and that was fun. That wasn't that bad. I actually kind of enjoyed working there, and I love Mexican food, so hello, hand in hand. At the weekends I would do the trophy girl stuff. Busy girl, me. Is this interesting? Getting to know all about me? Are you interested? After I dropped out of beauty school, I ended up was like, okay, well, now I have all this free time. And one of my best friends at the time, Lindsay, she worked in Wing House, which is like Hooters, but they're only in Florida. So she was always like raking in the money. She always had money. I remember she would open her wallet and it was just all this cash, and I was like, I need that. I want money. So I went in, I was eating lunch, and they interviewed me, and I got the job. And then I started out as a waitress there for I think 2 years. Then I moved up to bartender. It was a bartender for like 4 years. So I worked there in total for like 6 years, and I made more money than I knew what to do with. I look back and I'm like, I think I just spent it all on like cruises and going out. I lived it up. I think I fell in love. Like, I actually really did enjoy bartending. I fell in love with like the lifestyle, like the late nights, going out for drinks after, going home, waking up, doing it again, working doubles, it was like, and it was only girls. Like, the only boys there were the cooks and the managers. It was all girls that you worked with. It was really good. I know, looking, like, when I worked there at the time, I was like, oh, Wing House, well, I hate it. And I would like literally be crying going to work. But looking back, it was so good. Like, honestly, there was nothing to complain about at the time. It was really good fun. It was cool because they really worked with me so well when I decided that I was going to come to Scotland for the first time, because I came here on a one-way ticket and I was only supposed to be here for 3 weeks, but stayed for like 3 months. And the cruise that I met Nikki on, I went with my friend Casey Lyric, and then Casey's little sister and her mom. Oh my god. Like like the epitome of like girls trip. It was so much freaking fun. It was so good. Like, those memories I will have forever. I hold them so close to my heart. But that cruise, now I'm kind of just like rambling. Like, the story's all over the place. Are you sticking with me? Are you still here? If you made it this far, congratulations. Thank you very much. I don't know what you get besides maybe a bit more tea on me. The cruise that I met Nikki on, we went to the Grand Caymans and then Mexico and then back. Well, when we got to the Grand Caymans, the dock was like getting reconstructed or something, so we had to have like a little dinghy boat come, like we had to anchor out at sea, and then a little like dinghy boat, not dinghy boat, but like a ferry boat, I suppose I should say, like a little dinghy, imagine, came out to the boat, and we had to go onto the ferry boat, and then the ferry boat brought us over to the island, to the Grand Caymans. Well, I was maybe a little slightly hungover, but we had a excursion book to go swimming with turtles and stingrays. I was so excited. I love turtles.
I like turtles.
I got onto the little ferry boat. Well, we were like the first people on the ferry boat, and we were like right up in the front, and all around us was glass windows, so it was like an oven. It was hot. While we waited for the rest of like the people to load onto the ship, it was just getting hotter and hotter, and I literally thought I was gonna die, and I took my first ever panic attack. If you've ever taken a panic attack, like, you just get the most irrational thoughts in your head, and I had it in my head that my body wasn't used to this air. It was only used to the cruise ship air, so my body wasn't getting oxygen, and that sent me into a full-blown panic attack. I thought I was dying. I didn't know what was happening because I had never had a panic attack before. The ferry boat took us over and I just couldn't stop. Like, I was shaking, I couldn't walk, nothing. I just sat on a bench and they like poured a water bottle over me to like bring me out of it. Nothing was helping. I was just shaking, I couldn't even speak. They didn't know what was happening. So they put me on a wheelchair, put me back. They stopped the whole ferry boat, had it completely empty, came over and got me. And then on the wheelchair, me and like one of the cruise directors went back to the ship. They wheelchaired me back onto the ship in front of everybody, who was obviously like, what the hell is taking so long for this ferry boat? And then there's little old me being pushed in a wheelchair, and I was like, I can walk. And they were like, no, no, no. And I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Wheelchaired me into the boat hospital. I was like in this like waiting room, which I didn't even know would have existed on a ship. The nurse comes out and she's like, okay, to speak to me, it's only $60, but if you want to see the doctor, it's like $120. At this point, I'm like coming down from like the panic attack, and I'm like, all I want is you to put that little oxygen thing on my finger and tell me what my oxygen levels are. And this is where like having a mom as a nurse would come in handy if she was there, because she would be like, Brandy, you're fine. So she stuck the little thing on and she's like, yep, your oxygen levels are good. And I was like, okay, yep, I'll go back to my room. They wheelchaired me all the way back to the room and I slept, and I was like, well, if I die, I'm gonna die in this cruise ship room all by myself. So anyway, so my friends went on to do the excursion. I told them absolutely, like, do not do it because of me. Like, I'll be okay, just go. So they went, they had a great time, came back with all the pictures. I was in the room, and then they were like, yep, okay, get out of bed. And I was like, yep, okay. And then we went out and got drunk. Basically, from there on out, for the next like 4 months, I like kept taking them, where like I was trying to like get my nails done and I would take a panic attack and be like, okay, yep, please don't paint them, gotta go, bye. So I'd have like half done like acrylics, and I'd be in my car freaking out. Like, my quality of life was just not okay. Like, I'd be at work, and what would trigger the panic attacks is I always thought I was gonna pass out. I don't know, I would get like lightheaded and dizzy, and then I'd be like, oh my god, I'm gonna pass out and no one's gonna notice and I'm gonna die. Like, it was just irrational thoughts. Like, I would have to, like, I would never leave the house. Now it's become a thing. Like, I always have a water bottle by my side. I like don't leave the house without like making sure I've had something to eat to fuel me until I can get food for the next time. Like, it's become like full-blown like panic attack, like health anxiety. It's horrible. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. What it looks like is like constantly googling silly symptoms. Like, if the smallest thing feels not perfectly aligned with your body, like you're googling it, like constantly worrying. Or if someone around you is sick or has a stomach bug, you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna get it. Like, it's constantly being worried about your health, and it's the most selfish thing ever, because I am so healthy and I know that, and it just makes me feel guilty because I am healthy and there's so many people who aren't. But this is the way my brain's wired, and it's such a hard thing that now I'm like learning to cope with a bit better. I eventually did get on medicine, and I take sertraline now. Like, go get help and just go on meds. You don't have to live like a shitty life. Like, you can get help, and now I live perfectly fine, and I haven't had a panic attack in like years. The first person I ever saw talk about health anxiety and panic attacks was Kendall Jenner, and I've never seen anything ever since. So I'll be the second person. It's normal, I suppose, but it's also normal to get help and be on medicine if you have to, because you don't have to live a shitty life. Yeah, but with that being said, I do feel like it has made me very mentally strong, like very headstrong, but I also protect my mental health at all costs, because I know what it's like to be at the lowest, and I never want to get to that point again. So I don't let anyone now disrupt my peace inside myself, and it's made me very headstrong. And sometimes I'm like, oh, am I just a bitch? But then I remember I never want to go back to where I ever was. I think that's just down to that I put my mental health and myself as a priority, and that's okay, because I'm the only person who truly has my own back. You have to back yourself, so take care of yourself, and that's self-care. If you feel like you need help, go get help. It's totally normal. Here I am speaking about it for all 1,300 of my subscribers to see. This was in the notes. I wasn't sure if I was going to mention it, but I feel like it just kind of flows in now, and I'm saying it, and I can always edit it out. Everyone always asks us about kids, and I don't know. I've never even had a scare, and I'm 26. I don't know if I'm fertile. I've never done anything about it. It does stress me out a little, but I totally trust God's timing and God's plan, and when the time comes, if it ever comes, it'll be on his time and that's the best time. So yeah, that's it. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap that up there, but I hope you enjoyed this a little me and you time, get to know me. If you have any more questions or anything else that I left out, comment down below. I could always do a part 2, but yeah, that's all. If you made it this far, congratulations. Thanks for watching. I hope I answered all the questions, you know, that maybe you had lingering in your head about me. But thank you so much for watching and for all the love and all of the support. And again, if there's anything I've left out or anything now that you're like, oh, you know what, I wonder this, I wonder that, comment it down below and I can always do a part 2, or I can just answer your question in the comments. But yeah, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video next week. See you soon.